Hey folks, and welcome back to our story time. It's our first one for the month of June. I do apologize. We were going to try and do it earlier. It just hasn't happened. I don't think. Make sure I don't think it's happened this once. This would be the first one, right? It's the first one since May 24th. So yeah, first one since May 24th. Happy Pride. So, happy Pride. I hope everybody's doing awesome. And if you're queer, enjoy yourself. Have, every month should be Pride. Remember, Pride was started not by white, rich corporations, but by trans activists who were causing a riot and stopping police from invading their bar. So it was a riot. Pride was a riot. Remember that. It was trans activists of color that started Pride. Sylvia Rivera. And then don't whitewash history. And many of the activists that were icons of the gay movement were severely disabled by AIDS and other disabilities. It's important to remember that. And, disability impacts so much of our lives. And we're going to have and then, if you're gay, it's great. There's a lot of cool things that are going on this month. Sometimes it's really weird to have Pride be accessible. And when you get older, I've been out for 20 years. Actually more than that, over 20 years. I think I came out a little bit older. I came out when I was 28. Yeah, and I did the whole Pride thing, and with COVID and stuff, it's really hard for me to consider traveling, and I just it's just not my thing to go to a parade. At least right now, I'll probably go to the Liberty Festival because Julia Gagnon from American Idol, who was one of the top 7 winners in American Idol. She's going to be on touring around Maine, and she's playing Lewiston for free, but she's also playing a bunch of other places for free. I should get you that information. I'm just going to put that out there because I just remembered it. I do apologize. I'm having just hay fever issues. Probably isn't the best thing to look at. I do have a thing. So this week is going to mark a huge heat wave throughout most of the south and east of the United States, especially Maine, starting tomorrow. It will be in the 90s for most of the week. Let me pull up a actual forecast so we can get some sort of things. And so, again, if you have a disability, if you don't have a disability, it's being in Maine, we don't have the same infrastructure as large parts of the south, southwest, and other parts of the country, because we're in more north of the equator and stuff. So it's not something that we have a real good infrastructure for cooling. But there is an excessive heat watch National Western Service. Um, index values up to 99 expected. Portions of Maine, Central, and Southern and Northern New Hampshire from 8 p.m. Tuesday through Wednesday through afternoon and through Thursday evening. So basically from 8 p.m. Tuesday, 8 p.m. Thursday evening. Heat-related illnesses increase significantly during extreme heat and high humidity events. Warm overnight low temperatures in the 70s will result in greater cumulative heat stress, which means we don't cool down like we usually do. May we've only had heat. We've been lucky to have up until on Friday night it was really hot, but Saturday we had lows in the 50s. I believe we had lows in the 40s this last night. So, and that's in central Maine. And there's also a heat advisory, some moderate. So, again, go to places where there's air conditioning if you can. If you're in an area that has public transportation, most public transportation is air conditioned, most public transportation. You take it areas like malls, libraries, congregate areas to congregate. I know there's going to be a lot more information out there. Drink plenty of fluids, get plenty of, try and stay in shade. We buy a fan, we buy AC at a retail store because we need to have something that worked. And it's really dangerous, and plus with people having similar issues with, it's been 4 years of COVID. People have COVID now. You're dealing with COVID now. You got, heat issues that are going to, exacerbate any issues you have that have already happened with COVID, such as breathing issues or exacerbated by heat, spasms, muscles, joint pain, humidity can mess with arthritis. It can be a real pain for a lot of people. When you're paralyzed, it can cause problems with modulating your internal heat and being able to go to the bathroom and being able to drink and stuff. And that's because of people with quadriplegia, spastic cerebral palsy, that type of thing, myself included. So, additionally, there's some very hardcore activism needed from anybody in Maine. You can call Shelley Pingree office. This is exactly why. I'm going to read this email to you. This is a really important action that needs to be taken today. And I'm going to, at some point, try to record this as a clip, except that I really, my video skills are sorely lacking compared to what they used to be. In terms of editing and stuff. And I think it's because that instead of just editing and DVD rated in 4K, and the ability to render is just so much longer. So anyway, this is a much needed action aware about the Judge Rottenberg Center's shock therapy and the coalition of people that have been trying to ban this for over 30 years. I've been involved for 29 plus years. It was the first disability rights conference I ever went to. So, without further ado, thank you to the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network for making us aware of this critical threat to the FDA's proposed ban on electronic shock devices, such as those used at the Judge Rottenberg Center. Judge now, it appears, that Andy Harris, chair of the Agricultural, Rural Development, Food and Drug Administration Subcommittee, added language to that is designed to exclude the GRC from the FDA's device ban authority. ASAN wrote, "They're trying to sneak this in without us noticing, and I think they can avoid listening to people that they represent. Don't let them." ASAN set an action forward on this. Everyone needs to do whatever outreach they can to the Office of the Appropriation Subcommittee. The markup was last week, but markups take time, committees can work, and being remain is really crucial because it Shelley Pingree is on this subcommittee, and hearing from this is important. And the bill text is huge. In the bill text of Section 722, Section 516A of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic 21 U.S.C. Section 360A is amended by inserting, except for devices that are authorized or ordered for an individual by a court of competent jurisdiction after to make such intended use or uses of banned intended use or uses. Since every person who is on a shock device at GRC is receiving it under court order, this would essentially exempt GRC from the FDA's regulatory reach. This continues to say that if it didn't get past the subcommittee, we could still continue by keep pressure to get it stripped from the full committee bill, which is still probably not through anything. This was sent out on the 11th, it's the 17th, it's been 6 days, there's been a week in there. I don't think I haven't heard anything otherwise. This is negative things, so we gotta continue going with that. Our best chance to stop the shock is now at risk. With the talk kicking, we must convince the House that we will not allow this torture to continue. The Agricultural, Rural Development, Food and Drug Administration and related agencies Appropriation Act is supposed to be a tool that tells the FDA and other federal authorities what their budget is, how to spend the money. The House is proposing a rider, a last-minute add-on to the bill that says that the FDA cannot ban a device that is used by court order. This bill text would stop the FDA from banning devices at the JRC. Taking the choice to stop the the shot out of the politics' hands after more than 4 decades of advocacy. Flood the phone lines. If your representative is not on the subcommittee and ours is, call Pam Miller at 202 225 2638 and Martha Foley at 202 225 3481. This is a sample script provided by ASAN. I would think it works great. You can use one of your own. I'm going to use this as if I was calling. Be as professional as possible. Do not be at all angry. These people are working for you. Do not be, you want to be as professional, as calm as possible, and be as polite as possible. These are people who you're trying to be nice to. They do not do this. You want them to do things for you. You want to be nice to them. Do not be angry. Be very nice to them. That's how you actually do really good activism. My name is Mike Reynolds. I'm from Lewiston, Maine. I'm a constituent of Representative Shelley Pingree. I'm calling from to oppose Section 742 of the Agricultural Rural Development FDI and Related Agencies Appropriations Act. This rider takes away FDA's ability to ban the use of electric skin chopper behavior modification. Only one institution in the country still uses electric shocks this way, and the U.S. found the practice to be torture in 2013. That was over a decade ago. The FDA's proposed rule of the ban of devices this year received hundreds of public comments to support the ban, and this bill would take that decision away. The House must make sure that the people they represent are heard. Please do whatever you can to get this rider removed. And our representative, Shelley Pingree, is on this committee. Her phone number is area code 202-225-6116. Feel free to call, and I will be following up this at some point with a reel. I hope to a 90-second reel I can edit down to so people can do this. But again, this rider is really important. And if you can, sending it to your social media networks is also important, and I will be doing that myself with that video if I'm able to do that. But again, it's really important that goes out. And if you would have made that, this is literally a issue that was at my first disability rights, as a disability studies reader in college in November 1995. So yeah, it means a lot, and it's kind of crazy if you think about it. Recently, the Supreme Court has ruled on a couple of cases that are important. Zone, which is the one of the two drugs that are used for abortion access, was ruled by justices to there was so with this drug, the FDA approved it. A bunch of doctors tried to uh, challenge CFDA's approval. They basically the court just did a very basic ruling saying that the people that brought the challenge really didn't have standing to challenge the safety of his drug that way, but it also kind of left in to play the possibility that other states could try and do this argument on a state level, saying that maybe Arizona doesn't feel that this particular drug is legal and should be regulated and used, which is a novel idea. It hasn't been done before, but that's possibly what's happening. In a related article that's directly related to this, there is a bunch of governors, 23 governors, that I believe the California governor Newsom started some political action or committee or thing to work on abortion access. And 5 states, I know Washington and Massachusetts were one of them, have stored enough of that drug so that they won't have to rely on out of state supplies if a Trump presidency comes in, because one of the things that they're afraid of is that Trump might prevent the drug being transported across state lines via mail. And this was in a New York Times article, I'm remembering it now, on what people are doing if they have a possible Trump presidency again. And people are actually taking it seriously this time. Which is kind of, well, it's scary as hell, it's dystopian as hell, and it's a very weird reality that we're living in. The other big news that actually has quite a bit to do with IEPs, since IEPs, I'm sorry, the Supreme Court refused to hear whether there was a challenge to whether IEPs could be recorded or not, and IEPs have been a federally mandated meaning that is used in a special education students assessment as part of their progress every year. Individual education plan sometimes can be really contentious. It can be cost thousands of dollars. Litigation can be involved. I'm sure this is probably what was involved with whether it can be recorded or not. I would just think that, it'd be like journalism. People have one party consent rules, but who knows with schools and stuff. But it's really glad I'm really glad this Supreme Court decided not to hear this case, because it could have basically done anything to cut IEPs or the process in any way by not having it in the Supreme Court. Really does do a lot of good for people with people and students with disabilities, and that's good. IEPs have been used for 50 years. I'm one of those people who is very lucky to have one. Without having a special ed Well, I mean, I was lucky. He was born in '73. Um, um, the IEP, the rehabilitation act of '73 took place in '75. It helped me with Head Start, it helped me with speech therapy from a young age, it helped me with so much more therapy that I would have gotten even 5 years earlier. Of course, whether I would have been alive because of how difficult my birth was, whole other argument. But anyway, it's a really great idea. It's really like crucial that the Supreme Court didn't touch the IEP, um, um, ruling that they were widely anticipated to possibly take. They didn't, so it's a really good thing. Hold on, I'm doing everything I can, and I'm thirsty as heck. And we're closing at 4 o'clock. It's been long. We have quite a while, and I'm not even near what I need to get through today. But that's okay, because I've got all the time to get to do this right, and that's what we're going to do, right? Because if you're going to do it right. So, okay, so recently, as in like last week, the Biden administration has made some major progress on medical debt. I can't even believe that this is an issue in a country that is supposed to be so completely rich. But yeah, I can actually, because I also know how much I spend on medical supplies each month. So, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, released a proposed rule on Tuesday that would remove medical debt from consumer medical reports. If enacted, the medical debt of millions of Americans would no longer affect their credit scores. In 2014, that's a decade ago, CFPB reported that carrying medical debt was not a good indicator of consumer creditworthiness. Nevertheless, medical debt depressed consumers' credit scores, threatening their ability to gain employment, obtain housing, and meet basic needs. So, medical debt on a credit report is a very different type of debt than a mortgage or auto loan or a credit card. Sometimes this is the case with a visit to an emergency room and take it on unexpectedly in a time of crisis. Medical bills are frequently subject to coding errors, care mistakes, or complexities with insurance. By the time incorrect bills and insurance coverage issues are resolved, damage has been done to the consumer's credit report, removing medical debt, he said, would spare American families behind their financial lives upended because of unexpected medical emergency. The rule will also prohibit the most predatory practices in debt collection, including using medical devices such as wheelchair and prosthetic limbs as collateral. I can't even believe that's like legal. But last year, 3 largest credit reporting firms, that would be Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, Experian paid off debt and debts under $500 from credit reports. However, the proposed rule, if adopted, would put millions more consumers. Shaw, Senior Director of Policy and Strategy at Community Catalyst, described it as a massive win. And that is a article from the Coffee at Consumers for Affordable Healthcare from last week. And that's a huge, huge win. Let me see what's going on the state level. On the state level, let's do a roundup on the stuff that's happened with the legislative landscape and healthcare-related policies. The supplemental budget rejected proposed rollbacks to the Medicare Savings Program, ensuring that older minors and minors with disabilities can benefit from expansions in Medicare Savings Programs, which would be, hold on, so apparently what might happen is increased income eligibility we're going to affect July 1st of 2024. I'm not sure that would actually help me, but what it does is provide more money to minors who receive Medicare. So you might actually receive more money because you don't have to pay for your Medicare stuff, but I have no idea how that works. I would call Consumers for Affordable Healthcare, but their number is, so I can get that correctly, 800-965-7476 if you have questions about that. And additionally, regarding medical debt, LD 2150 by Mike Tipping passed it. Prohibits questioning agencies from charging interest on fees on medical debt and from suing local patients on medical debt limits signed and enacted by government bills. And LE 2271, sponsored by Donna Bailey, implements certain recommendations on the task force to evaluate facility fees to group facility fee transportation and there's a bunch of other things, which is really hard to get into. LD 2174, an act to protect consumers from predatory medical credit card providers, sponsored by Senate President Troy Jackson, failed to pass the House. The amendment provides a basic consumer protections related to medical credit cards and would prevented medical debt from negatively impacting consumer credit scores, but it failed, unfortunately. So there was a lot of work this year done on medical debt, which is one thing I was trying to work on this year. I'm trying to continue. Something that is really amazing, and I want to at some point take the same event, take the same idea. I'm going to post this to Billy Main after this is done, because if I do it now, it'll be just too much for me to do. It's a virtual walkthrough of the history of Portland Pride, and it can be done on your own pace, at your own place, and it's basically a lot of places in downtown Portland. Congress Street, where the original Drop Me a Line was, it was the first really gay-themed store ever in Maine. Although there was some stuff up in Bangor too, but again, I'm a little bit too young for that. I think that was more of an 80s thing, and I'm thinking more late 80s, and I think they were around early 80s, so, and I remember a couple of different bookstores that weren't on this thing, but it has some really great things about ACT UP in Portland, the equity community centers, the monuments where Dyke Mark is, and how awesome all that stuff was. It's available. I'm going to share it with you, and it's something that anyone can do, and you can, it's accessible. You can just take it, listen to it. You can actually go grab it, watch on your iPhone, use Google Maps, and do it that way. If you're in Portland, it would be a really cool thing. I'd like to take it at some point and do something statewide, like for a disability thing, like a disability history rights thing, statewide, but I don't know how that would happen so much today, and with all the stuff going on, but it's such a cool thing. It was done by the University of Southern Maine. I know Wendy Tarkus was involved with it, and it's absolutely incredible. Maybe it's just an absolutely incredible project, and I'm going to repost it to Billy Maine as soon as I'm done with this. Tomorrow, I did post a link, is the 20th anniversary of the Supreme Court ruling. We spent all this time talking about Supreme Courts and Supreme Court rulings that have already happened. Olmstead was a huge win for people with disabilities because it made community residential placements the rule, not the exception, but the rule, and that was huge. It closed a lot of institutions. There is going to be a 20th anniversary reception at the White House. A friend of mine, Joe Jacobs, who actually presented with at national conferences and been to the White House with, and have talked to Al Gore with at one point, kind of like, that was kind of interesting. Her daughter wrote to the White House, and Al Gore knew about it, with the FDR. Back when the FDR Memorial was built, it didn't have a real representation of him in a wheelchair, and right before Clinton left the White House, there was a statue that was unveiled, and it was in January 2001, and I got to go to that memorial and see that being unveiled, and Joe was there too, and her daughter wrote the thing. It was about how her two younger her younger siblings had disabilities and see it too, and so it would be really awesome if you watched it, and I think you should, because I will be too. And a huge thing, National Anorexia Society has decided to come out and say that anorexia is no longer a terminal illness. It does not qualify for medical aid in dying. This was in the last 2 weeks, but under no circumstances, in very, very, very stark terms. It made it very clear that the National Anorexia Society has completely changed their opinions that terminal anorexia is not a disease. What that means is that it may change medical aid dying laws throughout the states because I know in Colorado it's kind of hard to explain. There have been people who were supposed to die, who have died, and it depends on what state, whether they died in dying or they died earlier or after or not died at all. And it's really complex, but the fact, the history of that doesn't matter as much as the fact that going forward, the Anorexia Society says that terminal anorexia no longer exists. And I believe the last thing I have to talk about is that Doug Flutie, the Doug Flutie Foundation and Plankley Camp is going to do another 5K this year. I believe it's going to be on October 5th. So with that in mind, I hope you have a great week and you stay cool and be awesome. And as soon as the weather breaks and we can get back to doing things, and our bodies work, or my body works, and my internet works, and my life is working, and it seems to be going really, really well right now. I will be back because I love doing these story times. You can't really keep me with AI. That would be weird to see someone try. Please don't. And have a great day. And have a safe week and stay cool and be awesome. Stay radical. Peace.